My friends thought I was crazy, that I didn't continue to join in with them and jump into the flood of all of the immorality and all of the chasing after the things that leave you empty and miserable. That's not what I want to be. I want to fight for what's true. I want to fight for what's good. I want to fight for what is lasting and beautiful, because I have kids in this world.
Aloha, everyone. Welcome to All Things Possible. I'm so excited for today's episode. We're kind of touching on courage and how oftentimes courage means to stand alone. Kirk Cameron is a well-known actor from Hollywood. He grew up in Hollywood. He was an atheist, and then over time, he eventually came to know Christ. And I just think he is the sort of man that stands alone. He doesn't walk with everyone else. He is going against the current in a lot of different areas of his life, but especially in Hollywood. And so I think it's just going to be really fun to dive into this conversation with him. And I want you to think about courage as we go through this conversation. To me, courage isn't just for the ocean or the stage, the acting Hollywood stage, but it's for the way you live every single day. And so that's why we launch All Things Possible, because we want to encourage you in your every single day life to be courageous, to stand up, to go against the current in a lot of different areas, so that we can move and shake in a culture that desperately needs truth. So let's dive on in and have fun with Kirk Cameron.
Welcome to All Things Possible. We have Kirk Cameron, the myth, the legend, the man of the hour. Thanks for joining us, and tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, everyone, I think, in our audience knows who Kirk is, right?
I'm not sure.
Do you know who Kirk is?
I mean, I don't know that much about Kirk. That's why I'm pumped to get to know you today.
Sometimes that's really helpful, because in some circles I'm famous, and other circles I'm infamous. And maybe the less you know about me, the more chance I'll have that you like me and want to ask me back onto your podcast.
Thanks for taking the time to be with us, Kirk. You're up to a lot of things. I was talking to Caleb, our producer, a little bit ago, and he was just going through the list of working with Brave Books. You have new books coming out. You have a new show coming out called The Kirk Cameron Show. Numerous movies, of course, that you're involved with. What are you up to nowadays? Are you cruising in at home, or are you on set somewhere?
The Cameron family moved to Tennessee from California. Sometimes I just come out and say it. We escaped from California. I don't know how you guys feel. You're in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, we're in Hawaii.
You guys got some strict lockdown measures
I am
over
committed
there
to Hawaii. I am committed
no
to
matter
the beaches,
what happens,
born and raised, hope to die here. I don't care what the political scene looks like.
It was interesting out here for sure.
Yeah. Well, we live in Tennessee now. We go back and forth. The Camerons are doing really, really well. My wife, Chelsea, and I, we've been married for 35 years. We have 6 children. All of our kids are grown, and they've moved out of the house. And they moved all over the country. And then we found ourselves all alone in California. And we said, hey, this is not what we're about. We want to be with our kids. And then our daughter had a little baby. So now I'm a grandpa, and we want to be with our kids, and we're all about family. So we moved to where the most of our kids were, Tennessee. And then the other 3 kids moved. And so now we have family dinners on Sunday nights again. So we're doing great. Ministry and work is great. And the culture out here is excellent. So we're loving it. And I'm so proud of you guys and all the good work that you're doing and what you stand for. Everywhere here on the mainland is so proud of you and what you stand for. And you've also been writing books for children, and you're all committed to family. You're committed to faith. These are the things that I think people are realizing are indispensable for leading the next generation back to blessing and protection. So I'm proud to be standing shoulder to shoulder with you.
I can't help but think of you started as a child actor in Hollywood. Is that correct?
That's right. That's
And
right.
and now you're like a homeschooling advocate, gospel-driven storyteller, and I just think it's so interesting how a lot of people from Hollywood aren't necessarily in a good place, or I wouldn't like want my children to look to them for advice or way to how to live, so to say. You know, how did your life go? Like, take us back a bit and share a little bit of like your long haul journey from childhood to now grandpahood.
Well, just so you know, how many kids do you guys have?
We have four.
four.
I was
You
super
have
pumped
four.
to hear. I didn't know you had 6 children.
Yeah.
That's
It's
incredible.
respectable. So good.
What's, I guess they're all older now, but what's their age gap from the eldest to the youngest?
So they're all 1 year apart. So when they were little, they were 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 1.
Wow.
And so we had the double stroller, the front pack, the
Wow.
backpack, and the 15 passenger van. Now they're 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, and 23. So it's still awesome and it's still wonderful. Bethany, back to your question. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and I didn't know what I wanted to do when I got older. I just knew that I loved science and I loved math, and I really thought that being a doctor was what I was going to do with my life. I kind of wanted to be like Ben Carson, maybe a surgeon, and God had other plans for me. I was also an atheist at the time. I wasn't looking for God. I didn't have any interest in religion, but I came to faith in Jesus Christ, became a follower of Christ. I then dabbled in acting when I was about 9 years old, and I was doing Fruit Loops commercials and McDonald's commercials and Tide detergent, and then landed this role on a show called Growing Pains, which your mom probably remembers. And in the 1980s, it was a hit show. And my little sister Candace got on another show that was also aired on ABC called Full House. And so she's DJ Tanner on Full House. I'm Mike Seaver on Growing Pains. Super unique situation. And I just kept acting. I just kept doing this through high school and then into my college years. I never ended up going to medical school and following my dreams. I did what it seemed the Lord was wanting me to do, and I got married. I married my on-screen girlfriend who played my character's sweetheart on the show. Well, behind the cameras, we fell in love and got married. And as I said, we've now been 35 years married with a little granddaughter. And can I tell you my grandpa name?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So you probably haven't even thought about this yet, but you got to figure out, what are the grandkids going to call you? And my favorite grandpa was named Pop-Pop. That's what we all called him, Pop-Pop. And he was awesome. He was a World War II hero, and he was just so lovable. And I thought, that's what I want to be called. But it just didn't quite seem to fit when my daughter and son-in-law started calling me Pops and Pop-Pop. And when we came to Tennessee, the names here get really weird. I don't know what kind of like Hawaiian names there are in that Polynesian heritage, but here in the South, they say weird words like papaw and peepaw and pawpaw.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm not ready to go full Cracker Barrel yet. I'm thinking some kind of a boss name. And I have a friend who said that, well, my dad has his grandkids call him Chief. And I thought, that's got kind of a ring to it. I like it. Chief. And my wife has the name Coco. And so it's Coco and Chief. What do you think?
So
That's
cute.
cute. Yeah, that's awesome. That's strong.
So
too.
That's
be
adorable.
thinking about it. It's gonna be upon you before you know it.
That, you know, I
my
dwell on
gosh.
grandmahood a lot, but I have not thought about what I want to be called. So this is going to consume my brain now
add
for the
another
next
layer.
like 20 or 15 years.
Yeah.
I guess technically we could have a grandbaby in like 10 years.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty scary. Well, Kirk, I mean, just talking to you now, seems super grounded, super just relatable and awesome to talk with. It comes to me, it makes, thinking about Hollywood and California, like honestly, like when we go to California, we're like, get us out of here. We want to leave too. We get anxious and all that. But
Yeah.
how do you stay grounded? I think so many of us face a culture that's not even just in Hollywood or being in the spotlight with a big story such as yours, Hun. But so many of us are facing that every day. Like we're seeing it in our phones, we're seeing it in the public school systems. There's so much pulling at someone who may be foundationally grounded in their faith, but there's so much to fight against nowadays. Like, how do you stay, true to who you are?
Well, I think that is the question of every true believer who wants to honor God. When people who don't seem, I think that the mark of a real believer who has the life of God within them, and by that I mean somebody who recognizes the sacrifice of Christ, they have wanted to like bury the old man, bury the old person, and become this new creation, living to honor God and to love and care for people. The hallmark of that is the battle. It's the fight. It's the struggle to swim against the current, right? I mean, if you see somebody who's just joyriding downstream, having a great time singing and laughing as they head toward the falls, something's wrong with those people. The people who are actually care about life and about their family, they're swimming as hard as they can in the opposite direction, or they're trying to get to the shore because they know where that river's taking them. And that's kind of biblical imagery, that when I came to faith and I was grounded on this solid ground of understanding who I am, understanding who God is, I need his forgiveness, I want to live my life in a way that says thank you for being so kind to me. My friends thought I was crazy, that I didn't continue to join in with them and jump into the flood of all of the immorality and all of the chasing after the things that leave you empty and miserable. And so it's a daily struggle and a fight to stay grounded, to be moving in the right direction, to keep your feet up on the high road. It's so much easier to go the other direction, you just jump in and just let the current take you. That's not what I want to be. I want to fight for what's true. I want to fight for what's good. I want to fight for what is lasting and beautiful, because I have kids in this world and you do too. So I know you know what that feels like, and you've demonstrated that you have the same convictions.
Yeah. I think the temptation is to compromise your beliefs, or compromise, be like, well, I want to love my neighbor, and, I'll compromise this so I can, get along with them. But there should be tension with our belief and what the world is saying. Like, we should have that battle. And
I think just the awareness alone of like the wrong that you may do, that is like God working in and through your sin nature. And so many people are kind of like still early in on their faith journey, and they haven't maybe had the word of God preached to them like they need. And so I would just encourage anyone listening, if you're like questioning your faith right now, just know that if there is some sort of internal battle between right and wrong, like that in itself is like God working in and through your life. And you're over time, it's like that's how God sanctifies us, when he's working through our sin, when we're wrestling with the wrong. And over time that wrong becomes a new challenge, because the truth is none of us here are perfect, and we all still have some sort of sin struggle on our daily life. And mine might look very different than, say, my husband's, but there's still that battle of like, okay, I'm not going to be short-tempered with my children, because that's not of God. That's like unhealthy anger. Whereas God says there's healthy anger in life. And so, I feel like you've probably been on such a journey, and I love that you're such an advocate for homeschool as well. So did y'all homeschool your 6 children?
We did. In our family, we've had a little of everything. So our kids started out going to a great little private school that we found. Someone recommended it in our neighborhood. It was wonderful. And then once it got to 6th grade, and we had 6 kids, so when our oldest went to 6th grade, we had to figure out where's he going to go to 7th grade. And the private schools really didn't appeal to us. They were they had problems. And the public schools certainly didn't appeal to us in Los Angeles. And we didn't know what to do. And a friend began talking to us about homeschooling, and I thought that homeschoolers were crazy. Like, you're the weirdo Amish parents that seclude your kids away from everybody else, and you don't care about their education. They're not going to get socialized, all the things. And then
Right.
somebody told me, no, it's the exact opposite. We actually care about our children's education. That's why we're not sending them into this cesspool over here. And we really value the relationship and the time that we get to spend with them. And we're free to teach our kids whatever we want to teach them on our schedule. So we're not locked in to Easter break and Christmas break and having to call it, spring break and winter break. We're not locked into 5 days a week and 2 days on the weekends. We can invert them if we want to and have 5-day weekends and 2-day weeks. And the whole world is our classroom. And I'm thinking, okay, all right, like what planet are you guys from? And once we made the leap into the world of homeschooling, we discovered it was one of the best decisions that we ever made for our family. We would never change it. It was awesome. It's scary and it's challenging, and you can do it poorly, just like anything else, right? Like marriage. Is marriage great? Is marriage awesome? Well, you can really be a jerk in your marriage, and you can really hurt your wife and have a miserable time together, or you could honor God, give it everything that you've got, and trust that He will help you in the hard spots. And then I think you could have a great marriage. Same with homeschooling. It's if you do it the right way, and that is with all of your heart, you see it as a sacred responsibility and privilege, and you make use of all the resources God gives you, I think you will think it was one of the best things you ever did.
I've spent my whole life in the ocean, and I've learned, just like wearing a seatbelt or a helmet, safety matters. That's why my family and I use shark bands.
Shark Bands uses patented magnetic technology to deter sharks by disrupting their electroreception. Kind of like a bright light in their eyes that says, nope, not today, shark face. No batteries, no charging, just simple, effective peace of mind.
Whether we're surfing, swimming, or just splashing around, Shark Bands is our go-to for ocean safety.
You want to geek out on how it works? Dive into episode 14 for a deeper look at the tech.
And check the show notes for the link to Shark Bands, because your peace of mind in the ocean is worth it. Stay safe, stay stoked, and keep loving the ocean. Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard some crazy stats around homeschooling, like even as far as single moms working a job with their children, homeschooling them, and their stats were still higher than a lot of the public school stats. So
Yeah.
I think like we've kind of put school in a box, so to say, and there's a lot of different ways to educate our children, and that's so cool. I feel like I wish your wife was here, and I wish I could hear from her. I'm sure she was super integral
She'd love to
in the
talk with
journey.
you. She really was,
Probably.
and she was the primary educator
Yeah.
of the kids, of course, because I'm working and I'm traveling, and so it's teamwork for sure. But she was primarily the one who was reading to them and teaching them, and then there's all sorts of resources for people today, including online education. So many church co-ops, so many homeschool networks and conferences. It's very different than it was 30 years ago, and we have the benefit of having, I think it's up to, I think your producer told me that maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, about 2% of families in America homeschooled their children. Now it's up to 14%. That's massive.
Massive.
Wow.
And it's very exciting. I think it's one of the great hopes that we have for this
Right.
country healing and becoming healthy again.
Yeah, as Christians, I feel like it's a responsibility to protect our children, and also prepare them. And all the things you said, let's love on them. Take, this time with them is sacred and beautiful.
Right.
And yeah, I'm curious. So what did you learn through that process? How do you raise children who are standing firm in who they are and who God has called them to be? Any tips for us in that realm?
Well, how old are your kids now?
Our oldest is 10 and our youngest is 2. And we have 4.
That's awesome. This is the reaction that you probably get from your parents and others. 10 to 2, we're just like, oh, if I could have them back at those years again. Those are the golden years. Those are the precious moments. When they're 26, they have to decide how they want to handle themselves in very different and difficult situations. And the decisions they make at 26 are life-altering decisions. When they're 6, you you can talk to them, take them into their room and deal with things, and it's not too consequential. But it's so important. What you're teaching them at these little years are the seeds that are going to grow into their values and convictions when they're older, and it's all worth every ounce of energy and time you're spending. So, man, you guys just give it all you've got. Tips for raising kids grounded in their faith. You know, I'm not an expert in this, but where we've got some experience under our belt, and I would say that some of the best books that we read one is Proverbs for Parenting. There is wonderful wisdom for parents in the book of Proverbs, and there's a red book that we got called Proverbs for Parenting. I'm sure if you just looked it up anywhere you want to buy your books, you could find it. And then the other one is called Shepherding a Child's Heart by Ted Tripp. Shepherding a Child's Heart.
I've been meaning to read that for years now.
Oh, you have to get it. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Just press
Okay, I'm gonna get the audio
buy.
tonight.
And yeah, our version of the book is stained with our tears of gratitude. It is such a great book because it helps us as parents look beyond the behavior of our children and understand what is going on that is driving the behavior. You know, Jesus said things like, the words that come out of our mouth are coming from the overflow of our heart, right? What's on the inside, stored up in our heart, whether it's good or evil, it spills out in our words and in our actions. So whether it's adultery or it's murder or it's theft or it's lying, if it's selfishness, it's all exposing what's inside the heart. And so really, if we just tell our kids to sit down and take a time out and say, I'm sorry, that's really not addressing the root cause, which is what's pushing and pulling in their heart. What do they value? What are they worshiping? Themselves, their own pleasure? Or are they getting a grasp that life is a gift and that they were made by God to love him and to know him? And this little book will help you as a parent get to your child's heart. That's why he calls it Shepherding a Child's Heart. You know, for Cameron tips, we have three things that we always say helped us. Number one, strive to be the kind of parents that you want your children to become. Let me say it a better way. Strive to be the kind of human being that you want your son to become. So let him see what a living, breathing example of a kind, loving, forgiving, faithful man of integrity looks like. Don't just give it to him in a lesson or in a curriculum or get him to memorize Bible verses about it or what an excellent wife is according to Proverbs 31. Great. Read that to him, but show her what it looks like in her mom, and then she can just say, what would my mom have done? What does she do? And we're not going to do those things perfectly, but it gives them something to emulate and to go after. And when you're doing that, Bethany, it allows your sons to have a visual picture that has impacted them their whole life. That's the kind of excellent woman that I want to find one day, one just like my mom. Or the girls to say, someone just like my dad. That's, to me, the most important lesson. More is caught than taught. Your children are playing follow the leader, and you're the leader. So strive to be the kind of people you want your children to become. And then second and third would be stay in relationship with them. Through all the good, the bad, the ugly, the disobedience, the bad grades, the messy room, the frustrating sibling rivalry, don't let that put you on the wrong side of your kids relationally. Don't burn the relationship because of bad behavior. Stay committed to them. You're the only mom and dad that they're ever going to have, and God will work through you for their sanctification. And then thirdly, point them to the Word of God. Because right now, they're being told to just listen to Instagram, TikTok, and Siri. And none of them have wisdom. The only thing that has wisdom from above is the Word of God. And they need to download that wisdom from that source of truth that will never fail them. And I would say if you go with those three things, man, I believe you're going to be on the right road.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, Kirk, I see you, and I think many people see you as a voice of courage. And I think that courage isn't just for the ocean or the stage, it's for the way you live every single day. So we're cheering you on. We see you living out courage in the media, in the public eye, and the work that you do, and now as a grandpa and a lifelong father, and in your marriage. So thank you so much for jumping on All Things Possible with us. And
I'm convicted and super encouraged.
yeah,
Thank you,
I'm ready
Kirk.
to go like hone in on
Stoked.
motherhood a little harder.
Oh, well, you're doing a great job. You're so encouraging, inspiring to so many of us. This is the first time that we've met, but you've encouraged me for years. And Surfing Past Fear, that's the name of your book, I believe,
Yes,
with Brave
thank you.
Books. We're both Brave Books authors. Please keep up the good work. And if
Wait,
there's
can
anything
you
else
share with me the title of your book that you wrote, and we'll link it in the show notes.
I've been working with Brave Books now for 3 years. So the very first one we did, which really got me in trouble with all the drag queens, was called As You Grow. As You
Okay.
Grow was all about the fruit of the Spirit. And then we did one called Pride Comes Before the Fall. And we released that during Pride Month in Seattle, Washington at a public library.
You did the library reading there, correct?
Yes, we read that book at the public library in Seattle.
Yeah.
And that was a book that really said the virtue is not pride, the virtue is humility. That pride comes before a fall, but it's humility that we should be striving for and teaching our kids about.
Awesome. Yeah, we
Wait,
need
and
to.
then did you have one more, did you say?
Yeah, there was one more that was all about loving your enemies. And then finally one is called Brave as a Lion. That's what it is. Brave as a Lion. And that kind of
Oh, I
became
don't
the
think I've
kind of
read
book,
that one yet.
book zero.
Okay, I gotta
it
go
was the
back
very
and get
beginning.
that one. Brave
Yeah.
as a Lion.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good one to read.
Yeah, they're all so good. One of my favorites is The Island of Free Ice Cream.
That's a good.
yeah, that's a good one.
I think it's so important to, like you said, we need to pour into our children's lives and encourage this next generation to be strong in their faith and point them to the truth. So it's super important. Thanks for
Well, thanks
doing
so
that.
much, Chief. We're cheering you on.
Hey, and if you guys would, man, check me out. I've got a brand new podcast. I'm kind of following in your footsteps now, and I'm doing it with my son. So my son and
cool.
I
I
co-host a
love that.
podcast. It's on YouTube. It's every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I get to talk
Wait,
about
tell us like the
politics
details.
and-
Like, what's your heart? Like, what's kind of like your main message with this? Is your son co-hosting or is he behind
Yeah.
the scenes?
So my son James and I co-host the show together, and it's 3 episodes a week. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have morning coffee devotionals around the Bible and God's Word. And then Wednesdays, we have a dangerous conversation about things like relationships or mental health or the power of music to affect our minds. And Fridays are weekly wrap-ups of politics and culture through a biblical lens. So it gives me a
Nice.
chance to talk about all kinds of things, and we're really having a blast. It's so much fun. My daughters and daughter-in-law are working the social media, and so I hope if you guys get a chance to
Oh
see
my
it,
gosh,
I
yes.
wanna check it
Thanks so
out.
much.
Yeah.
For sure, we'll put that out there, and we'll link it in the show notes for our listeners to check out.
Thank
as
you so
well.
much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. It's called the Kirk Cameron Show. If anyone's looking it up, and that's the name of it.
Well, thank you, Kirk. God bless, and yeah, keep doing what you do, man.
Okay, guys. God bless you too.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us today on All Things Possible. Hey, please share this with your friends. If you felt really encouraged by this message of hope and courage and standing up for the truth and being a voice of truth in people's lives, specifically our families, our children's lives, listen to this with your children. Listen to this with a friend or text it over to them, because this is how the message is going to get out. This is how we're going to be an encouragement to people around us, is by sharing awesome messages like this to the world around us. So be sure to leave us a like, leave us a review, tell us what you think. And we're just thankful that we can be a part of your journey. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. And be sure to check out our Brave books. We're going to link them. We wrote some books. They're for children. Ours is or Surfing Past Fears. And then we're going to link Kirk's books as well. So thanks so much, everyone. Lots of love and aloha.